All right, welcome back to the East Front. This is Hexy. All right, we're going to wrap up our Chir fight. And let me read, I want to make sure. So we played the Tormosan offensive. So everything from the 20 hex row over this way. So there's a couple of victory locations down here that aren't part of this fight. So I think there's 5 total in this one here. Yeah, 5 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 that I can see, and 5 that's on the list. Pretty simple, the objectives to deal with here. And of course, the game is based off taking victory point locations. All right. So I remember reading a comment somebody made in another video or a post somewhere on Facebook about how 11th Panzer comes on and just raises hell with any Soviet forces that break through, and it proved to be the same story in this one here. All right. So, as I explained earlier, 1st Tank Corps pretty much got smoked. The Russian infantry did fairly good. The 119th Rifle, what happened was they ended up isolating the Germans that were up here, and they ended up, each of the units up here ended up taking a 2 strength point loss, which eliminated, I think, 2 of the units or 1 of the units up here in Surovitkino. And then when the attack came, the Russians got just enough to be able to get them out of there, to cause them to to cause them to, was it retreat or something? Whatever it was. They caused enough losses to eliminate them, and they took step losses too, but not enough to keep them from pushing through. So they ended up taking both of those. 5th Mech was the last viable force towards the end there, and they were able to push down to chase some headquarters out. But the problem was the one they needed the unit you're going to have to affect is going to be 11th Panzer, and they were never able. I think they didn't even eliminate any 11th Panzer units, even with the KVs in the 1st tank. 5th Mech didn't really have that much. They got some Matildas and some Valiants or something, whatever they're called. But they did shoot down here and bust up some supply stuff and chase it away, and they took this victory location here. But 11th Panzer, in their last little gasp, they were able to pull a couple units out, go over there, chase the headquarters off, break through, chase the headquarters off, and take that victory location back. And then that's how this thing ended. They did cause a couple of blobs to get mixed up with the Germans, the 7 Flieger and a Kampfgruppe Stuppfeld. They're all blobbed up, and some of the units are trapped. He would be isolated, so I'd probably have to roll for an isolation on that guy right there. But it doesn't matter, because step losses in this game aren't under your victory conditions, at least not that I see. So this ends up with a 3 victory point location for the Germans and 2 for the Russians. And under the rules, 2 or less, you're pretty much basing it off what the Soviets do. 2 or less is a German major victory. So I failed to break through across the Chir, or did I? Because if I remember right, didn't 11th Panzer come on anyhow during these operations around the Chir and cause a bunch of hell? Well, they were successful in this one here. They stopped the Soviet onslaught, and never did get to use the 47th to anything. The 47th Guards, they were never able to get far enough to do anything useful anyhow. So, but hey, they got across the river. We'll give them that. They got across the Chir. They did affect a bunch of casualties on the Germans here, which if they were to mount another offensive real quick, bring some more forces into this, they could probably deal with most of the German infantry. I mean, Kampfgruppe Stuppfeld's pretty much smoked, but look at 1st Tank Corps. They're just totally wrecked, man. And then 1 unit from the 5th Mech, the recon unit that got smoked there. But there you go, BCS, Inflection Point, the second of the Chir scenarios on this one little small map, which is really cool if you want to set this up on a small table. Printed out my cards. I know everybody likes to cut and print their own individual cards, but I just keep them on one sheet, put them under the plexi, mark everything over there. I don't know, for me, putting those things on the map near the units, unless you pull them over, but I know me, I'd pick one of them up, move it, I'd spill all the counters and would forget what I had where, so it's just better for me to do that right there. So, but yeah, German victory, German major victory. Let's wrap that one up, and let's move on to the next thing we're going to play, which is probably going to be Gettysburg 77 on this table. All right, guys. German major victory, BCS Inflection Point from MMP. And we'll talk to y'all with the next game. See you soon.